Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and the Degenerates. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host, Jum. Today, since we did Schindler's List, we're doing another anti-war piece. This time, a very recent anti-war piece, and I would say very important as well. You know,
I agree. I
this
agree.
this time fighting against Nazism with comedy, which is, I think, an effective tool.
Yeah, you know when comedy gets a little too real at some points, and it has more impact compared to like a serious film. I'm
Yeah,
not saying Schindler's List had no impact. I'm just saying compared to other films where they were like very sticking to their guns. This is very serious.
yeah,
You have to be sad.
yeah.
Where with Jojo Rabbit, they like to play. It's funny, and you will love the characters. You're having fun until something hits, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"Fuck!" You know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that in the first 5 minutes of a video, but like, yeah,
I think we're clear within the first minute. So after the first minute, we're good with curses.
okay,
Um,
okay, good, yeah,
but yeah, were you interested in this movie before going into it?
yeah. Because like Taika Waititi was like a pretty big name around 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pretty big name around that time because of like Ragnarok, and he's doing like again Jojo Rabbit. I think he had like other works as well that was like
The Sam Neill
blowing
one.
up. Ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Into the Wild or something like that,
Yeah.
or The Wild One Calls or some shit. I forgot the name. I need to watch it. But yeah, I was very excited, and people were talking about how good Jojo Rabbit is, and of course it's a World War II film. We like World War II films. We don't like World War II. We just like history.
Movies about the
Uh,
subject. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in a funny kind of way, and you see Taika Waititi playing as Hitler, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. Why not?
Yeah, I remember I desperately wanted to watch this because we got dragged to watching Cats. So we both needed an antidote to erase that god awful movie.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was the next one, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna start 2020 with a bad movie since it is gonna be a very fun year. I'm gonna continue this with a very good movie. Apparently, that doesn't speak for the rest of that year, but for that phase of 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start 2020 officially right with Jojo Rabbit, and as my second to last movie before everything went to shit in 2020, it's pretty good. Um,
Mm.
Though I will say I was kind of uncomfortable in the theater with the opening where it was the Beatles and it looked like they were celebrating the Nazis, and then I was like, did I enter the wrong theater? Why is this playing in the Philippines of all things?
I mean, no, you're not wrong. I like again, we know what it's about.
Yeah,
It's about this little fashy kid, and he's like, "Oh, I want to be the best Nazi around. I want to be best friends with
yeah,
Hitler."
that's the thing.
Clearly blinded by propaganda, and he doesn't really know any better because he is just 10.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's the view of a child raised in an environment with bigotry and like hatred shoved down his throat at a young age, and through his eyes, the Nazis were rock stars. But like from our eyes, our modern eyes, were like, "What the hell is this opening? I am scared and confused."
Right. But then again, it does paint a picture of like, that does make sense.
Yeah, once you get the context of like, it's from
Yeah.
his eyes. I get it. Thank God.
Yeah, like, like him chanting with like Hitler, going,
Yeah.
Hail Hitler.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love the perspective that we're taking. We're in the eyes of a 10-year-old boy, again, who doesn't know any better, and clearly is blinded by propaganda. And we're like, yeah, I feel like if we lived in that age, in that country, as a white Aryan race,
That's like what, 8 years old, 10 years old. I'm pretty sure we would succumb to it just because of
yeah,
the nature of the area we're growing up in. It was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, I guess this is the norm. My family says it is.
I, I think saying white Aryan race is kind of like redundant. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, but yeah, it's such a fascinating thing, and then kid gets kind of drafted into training camp.
Yeah.
He's with his friend. What's his name again?
Oh no, I forgot. But yeah, his friend is very funny.
I love this. I love that little kid.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, they had like a lot of comedy chops at a very young age, and if I remember correctly, the actor for Jojo is like, this is his first film.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And like he's surrounded with very strong characters, like his mom, of course, played by Scarlett Johansson, and other characters like Sam Rockwell's character, Captain K, and his lover, from the beginning you're like, oh, he's a disgruntled war vet at this point in his life, because he's like, I don't get why we have to do the training because we're losing at this point and there's no going back. We are definitely losing this war, but the government says I have to train you, otherwise I will be branded as a traitor.
And he was like, instead of dying in the field with my men, I am here training all of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And he's also closeted homosexual.
Yeah.
Like, and it's quite obvious. I'm like, haha.
Yeah.
But then again, he was one of my favorite characters in this movie, besides Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. And like, I find this character interesting because, as far as I know, Nazi Germany also was against the LGBTQ community. So you're like, oh, he's just flipping them off at this point with his lifestyle. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, his mom obviously is very anti-Nazi. She hates the war. She doesn't like what the government stands for. Clearly, because she's also like, I don't get why they treat Jewish people so badly. I don't agree with this whole Aryan race bullshit. That's why she hides Elsa in her house when everybody else is just doing their best to live. And they're like, you know what? We don't want to add the extra risk. Yeah, we're losing, but I don't want to be strung up like the traitors. I'm sorry. I really am. But she is concerned because Jojo is lost in the world of hatred and bigotry. And you're like, I understand that. Damn, it's a hard situation to get through. How do you do that?
But the funniest way to get out of that situation, though, is tossing a grenade at a tree, bouncing it back at you, and pretty much getting deformed. And I don't know if this is how Germany was back in the day, where everybody's just straight up, like, brutally honest with you. Like, am I ugly? Yes.
Yes.
And we're like, okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Even though imaginary Hitler, like, you know, again, is imaginary, yeah, he's brutally honest. I'm like, man.
Yes. Like, he's your biggest fan, and he's treating you like shit. Why don't you see the bigger picture, Jojo? Jesus.
Yeah.
But no. Another way against bigotry and hatred is love. And he does fall for Elsa, and you're like, oh, this kid is falling in love with this girl, even though the other side of him, his imaginary friend, is like, how dare you? How dare your mom be against the war, and how dare she hide this Jewish girl from the government? Because our job is to exterminate them, because they are inferior. And you're like, yeah, love and comedy are very potent weapons against this kind of hatred and bigotry.
And again, like, you see the other side of, like, the propaganda, where to them Jews are, well, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if they really painted them as like these things with scales and tails.
Oh yeah, they did.
Teeth and horns. Did they?
They did. That was part of their education system from like the 30s, after Hitler took power, as he supplanted, like, he first got rid of the media and like other stuff, and then he started the book burning, and then he supplanted his own ideals for schools while he was in charge of Germany.
It was a piece of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you see what bullshit they're feeding each other.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to me. Question. Am I echoing on your side?
No.
Hello.
No, I
Okay,
don't at all.
we
Okay.
good.
Yeah, it's funny in the sense that you're like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't see how any rational person can think this. But that's the thing you have to remember, is that when Hitler took power, he was able to manipulate the masses to in believing this, and you're like, you have to remember where Germany was, which was a desperate place after World War One, and that's how they succumbed to like, we are all this stuff is rightfully ours. It was stolen from us, and they fed into that. They were fed this lie, and a lot of them believe in it. Some, of course, resisted, but like, that's how Hitler was able to take power. And
yeah, and we do get a clear picture of the people who resisted.
yeah, which I like. And like you,
oh, so he's me.
The people who resisted.
I heard. After I heard you like it.
I like the people who resisted Hitler.
Oh no, I'm saying like they showed us the people who resisted, which I'm talking about is the people who got hung.
Oh God!
In the courtyard.
Context is key. But yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, man. My bad.
But no, that is a brutally stark reality of this world. Where again, you say, when those moments hit you, just like, oh God, oh my God, yeah, that is your reality, and that is an unfortunate fact in growing up in Nazi Germany at that time, especially towards the end of the war when they're recruiting kids and old people to be like, it's your duty to fight, and they're like, what about the army? And they're like, what army? We have no army. We're losing.
We have no army. Majority of them died on the field.
Yeah.
But as we go on throughout the entire war, you kind of see, Germany going downhill. Of course, it's not hitting that little pocket of a town that they have. Like, it's not being hit yet.
Yeah.
But you just see secondhand information that like we're losing. Yeah. Well, fuck. Well, shit.
Yeah.
There's no point. And like, wasn't he like a character?
Of who? The person they're hiding?
No. The guy from the moon.
The moon? Oh, Sam Rockwell? Yeah.
Captain
K?
Yeah, Captain K. Like even him, he's kind of... I love that scene. I was like, I met the dogs, not actual German Shepherds. and then he like goes up to his assistant, like, I'm sorry I yelled.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Like Jojo, like you see the main forces that are protecting him from slipping further into this insanity that is Nazism. Is his mom and Elsa. Elsa being the first girl he ever loved. Like, he even gets jealous when she mentions that, oh, another boy is waiting for me, and then he's like, Nathan wrote, he said he's dead. I don't know how that works, but he said he's dead. Or like, he's not waiting for you.
Yeah, he doesn't love you. Bye.
And then later on, he feels sorry because he hears her crying, and he's like, actually, he takes it all back, but he is a lazy communist. So there's that. Sorry.
Yeah, God, I love that dinner scene that he had with like his mom.
Yeah.
Where clearly, yeah, the mom has a point where a 10-year-old shouldn't be talking about politics and war. Yeah. When you should be climbing on trees and falling off of them. And I'm like, yeah.
You should have a normal life.
Yeah, and then he goes like, what do you know? You're not dad. And like, she has that scene where she puts on like the soot on her face and pretends to be the father. I love that scene so much.
Same here. I know she was nominated for both this and Marriage Story for Best Lead Actress. I don't think she won though, but she should have won at least one of them. Yeah.
I say I love Marriage Story. I'll never watch it again. But for me, I love her performance here because it was such an odd, weird way of being a parent. Yeah. Not really weird. It's very sweet, but like, how many parents act like this? When the kid starts yelling at them, she doesn't yell or get angry or like puts up authority.
Yeah.
She reasons with him and like talks him down, and she proves him that, hey, your view is a little bit wrong here. Yeah. Which I feel like, hey, diplomacy, yay.
Yeah. Also, a little thing I noticed for watching this movie for this video, so that every time they introduce her character, you start from her shoes, and you're like, that's an interesting way to see a character come in every time. And that plays in much later on, but before that, Jojo is quickly falling for Elsa. Like he even protects her against the Gestapo. There's a lot of tension because you're like, I don't think this scene's supposed to be funny. And it's kind of funny with the salutes, but like afterwards you're like, right, this is the secret police that rat people out and then have them executed. I don't want like this. And then she pretends to be a Jojo's long dead sister, but they don't know she's dead. So she's like, I'm a sister. What are you doing in my house? They're like, oh, sorry. We didn't mean to barge in. We'll be on our way. But they see like the book, like Jojo's book, and they're like, it's funny. All the things we're teaching these kids are funny because they are true. And you're like, wow, you are awful. Jesus.
Yeah, like again, he's like, he's very adamant of like, yeah, it's very true. The things you're writing here, they're all right. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're enabling it. All right.
Yeah.
But the scene that really like scared me was she had to get her papers, right? Identification papers, and then she had to give it to Captain K.
Yeah.
And we're just like,
yeah.
and of course, the photo doesn't look like her, and they had to confirm, like, hey, when was this photo taken? 3 years ago. Shit changed. I get you.
Yeah.
But he had to ask the date of birth, and we clearly see the date of birth as they highlight on the passport or identification papers.
Yeah.
And she gets it wrong, and we're just like,
I guess this is where the movie turns, but nothing really happens to her. Unlike
no, because like you see Captain K just like, oh, it's all good.
yeah.
And we're like, is he not a Nazi?
Yeah, which I like, cause from the start, you already tell that he disagrees with everything, and you're like, yeah, Captain K is a good one, so you don't really need to worry. But going back to
he's not a Nazi.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
God,
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Taika Waititi, I do like the fact that even though he plays this role very comedically, which is funny because he is a Jew, so this is the biggest middle finger to Hitler ever. But he can also showcase the madness of Hitler when he's like yelling at poor Jojo. You're like, God, you are a madman. Fuck. Jesus.
and I think he spouted out a speech by Hitler
Yeah.
at Jojo. And I'm like, but it's just translated into English. But I was just like, I never heard. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like a speech that Hitler would say.
Yeah.
Or would like, you know. But I love the character of Taika Waititi's Hitler
Yeah.
because he is in like Jojo said, right?
Yeah.
So with each passing time, his clothes gets different. You know, like it changes. Sorry, I can't English. But yeah, his clothes change.
Yeah.
And it's appropriate for that era or that time where we're getting closer to when the war ended, and he wore gray at that time.
Yeah. Well, I love that detail too. But like there's a scene where Jojo finds a butterfly, and he's following it, and you're like, oh, Jojo truly is in love. And then he gets up, and then you see his mom's shoes hanging, and you're like, what? No. No, it can't be. Cannot be. Absolutely not. Like the theater, I don't know if your theater all went, what?
Yeah, they did. They're like, oh, like there's so many people just like, oh. And I was like, yeah. Fuck, I didn't see it though. Nobody saw it come.
No.
You know? Like, you would think that it's a happy ending for this little nice pocket of family.
Yeah.
But now that we know that maybe his dad's dead in the front lines, now the mom's dead, Jojo's all alone.
Yeah, I do like the detail that you don't really see the mom's face or body because only Jojo has the right to see that. And it's like he's being judged by the other houses there. It's like they're looking at him. But like these are the consequences of your family's actions, and you now have to bear them. And now Jojo's all alone, and you're like, this movie's turning in a way I didn't expect. I hope this movie's gonna turn out to be one of the movies where I'm like, you know what, I can watch this again. Not I will never watch this again. I am scarred for life. But I'll tell you what it is when we get to the end. But yeah, Jojo has to take care of himself, and as you mentioned, time goes by and things in that town get more crazy.
Gray.
Yeah, gray. They're prepping for war, and like you don't know what's gonna happen. And when war does come, it is very very abrupt and like jarring. Of like, oh right, this is a war movie, and like you don't only see brains and guts, but you see how terrifying it is from a 10-year-old's perspective. When at the beginning, all he wanted to do was go to war, and now he sees it up front, and he's like, I am terrified out of my mind.
Yeah, this is like a very comedic version of All's Quiet in the Western Front.
Yeah.
Yeah, like again, he's not in war. I mean, like he's not a soldier in war.
Yeah.
He is civilian. He's just running around. He doesn't have a gun. Yorkie, there you go. That's his name. Yeah, you see Yorkie. I love the storytelling that they do with just like Yorkie.
Hmm.
They gave a kid a gun. They're running out of people or like men to fight in their wars.
Yeah.
And then you see his uniform, it's just paper at this point, and it's just horrible. and like, yeah, it's just kids running around and farmers and shepherds fighting this war for Hitler now, and like, yeah, this is the end.
The worst part is, before the fighting breaks out, you learn that hey, Hitler offed himself, so there's really no point in defending this town. You're like, right, shit, what is the point then? Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then the fighting stops, and then Jojo finds Yorgi, and then he finds Captain K, and Captain K is like, I'm sorry for your mom, but do look out for that sister of yours. And then he takes off his Nazi jacket for Jojo, and he's like, get away from me, and pretends he's this Nazi.
A Jew.
Yeah. And then the Russians take him and execute all of them, and you're like, right, this war is very gray. There's no good or bad guys. Shit.
Yeah. And like even Captain K's like assistant, we kind of know that kind of died in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all depressing at this point. But you could tell like the good guys won. You know.
Yeah.
Like I was about to put it in quotation marks. Nobody really wins in wars.
No. Poor Rebel Wilson gets blown up before then. She's like, charge! And then, I guess she's gone.
I mean, she used the kid as a suicide bomber.
Right.
So I feel like it's very well deserved.
Yeah.
It's like, go give that man a hug. I'm like, hey, yo!
I don't know if she dies by her own fault or the Allies' fault. You're like, either way, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But once Jojo gets back to the house, Elsa's like, who won? And he's like, we did. And you're like, oh, he just doesn't want to let her go because it's the only thing he has left. And then you get more depressed of like, this is so sad. He's gonna grow up all alone in the 50s and 60s. Why? But it's definitely with Elsa this time, because they go out and she's like, you piece of shit. The other guy, side one. And he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, It slaps him in the face, but of course they make up and they start dancing. And they also kind of gave us this little, like, okay, yes, they love each other, but as a brother and sister kind of relationship. Because, yes, Elsa is a little bit older compared to Jojo, so it will be very wrong.
Yeah. Going back to your point of detail, like Hitler comes back and it's dead Hitler because he has a bullet.
Yeah, he has like the bullet hole in his head.
Yeah, and then Jojo just says "fuck off, Hitler," and you're like, "Damn right."
He's like, "Can you hail for me?" just like the good old times. I'm like, what?
But yeah, we've reached the end. And what would you rate Jojo Rabbit?
Man, I got no complaints about this movie. This movie's great. Like, it's funny when it wants to be funny, and it's sad when it wants to be sad. And it does it in such a great and shocking way. Like when Scarlett Johansson, when you found out she got hung, like, it's a big shock factor. We didn't see it coming. A lot of this movie, we don't know how it will end.
Yeah.
You know, like how a lot of movies will be like, okay, from the first maybe 10 to 30 minutes, we already know how this is going to be. With
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit, you don't.
Yeah.
I love that about this movie. The actors are great. The kid who plays Jojo is great. The kid who plays Yorkie is fucking phenomenal. Goated child.
Yeah.
Dude's funny.
Yeah.
Girl played Elsa as well. Scarlett Johansson, everybody. Captain K, Rebel Wilson. I had such a fun time watching this, and it is one of like the World War II films that I'm like, okay, I'm glad I watched it, and I will watch it again.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a 10 out of 10 for me. This was one of like the peaks of 2019.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking good, and I got out of the theater a little bittersweet, but at the same time, kind of like, you know what? They won at the end, so that's nice. You know, the kid's not a fascist anymore.
Yeah.
And the Jew girl's free.
She's alive.
You know? Yeah, she's alive, and for sure, Jojo lived up to his mom's expectations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun time. It was a sad time, and I loved it. It's a roller coaster ride, and I suggest anyone to watch it.
Yeah, I'll also give this a 10 out of 10. It's a very good movie, and one I'll definitely watch again. It's a very good story, very compelling characters, and again, I did leave bittersweet, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm sure Jojo will grow up to be a fine man, and he'll have a lovely friendship with Elsa, and all grow up together and hopefully help make this world a better place, even though this is a fictional story, but hopefully we can all follow their example. But yeah, it's a very good movie, and as you said, it is peak 2019. Like, it was a nice movie to watch before our realities came to a grinding halt in 2020. Of like, I guess we're not watching movies for sometime soon. Alright. But yeah, both 10 out of 10s. Needless to say, it is a must-watch movie, and a very important one too. But yeah, if you like our videos, please give them a like, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, and our reaction to trailers, and Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, I am on TikTok as Zoe does voices. I do funny voices, so if that's your interest, please give that a follow. The link is in the description below. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at JohnG on Instagram as well.
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.